Welcome to another episode of the Pineapple Perspective with your host, Troy Hooper. And this is always sponsored by Pepper Lunch Restaurants, pepperlunchrestaurants.com. Put a slash franchise in there if you're interested in learning more about how we're growing on a global scale at pretty high speed, pretty big scale. So check it out. Really glad to have a unique guest on the show. Going to talk about a very different topic from anything we've really talked about before. So this is going to be very interesting for me and I hope for you. But today I want to welcome Guy Weiss. Guy, how are you?
Good. Nice to meet you. Great to have you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. We're going to talk about employee communication, retention, turnover, burnout, quite a bit of labor related topics from a tech solutions standpoint. So stand by for that. But we start this show, Guy, every time by asking all of our guests, no matter where in the industry they touch or where they come from, what does hospitality mean to you?
Oh, oh, that's a great question. So I think hospitality eventually is all about communication, is all about personal connection between people, service providers, hosts, from the waiter to whatever it is, whoever it is. And I think communication is the core of what we are as human beings, and that's what defines us from other species. And we've decided to really tackle work communication and make it as innate as possible for us and productive as possible for us. So I think our relation to hospitality and other industries as well is we are at the core of hospitality, which is communication. So I think that's how we see hospitality, and that's why it means so much for us.
So why is communication for you the lane you chose to tackle, particularly in the hospitality industry? There's got to be a backstory there, some impetus to say in this hospitality space we can do better. What was the starting point for you to really want to get into this hospitality realm and really tackle issues around communication?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So I think it started, well, after selling my first company. I wasn't actively looking for a new idea, like something that I wanted to do. But especially after COVID, like post COVID era, I started to see a phenomenon of a lot of businesses are moving on to use personal messaging apps for work communications. And the trend is just going insane. And I think the core problem for a lot of businesses, and especially for frontline workers, restaurants, franchises, is they all run. It's a 24/7 business. It's a problematic business because you have a high turnover of employees. It's all about communications, and we saw they all are leaning on WhatsApp, iMessage, regular text messages, and it created a chaos, a chaotic way to work, security issues, separation between work and private communication. So, out of a lot of industries that we operate, hospitality is just like it's there. So, that's how we got it. We just saw a lot of traction there. We saw a lot of restaurants, a lot of owners screaming to the roof that they all operate on over WhatsApp or whatever it is, and just saw a good fit. So, that's how we started in the hospitality industry.
Give the audience a little background on who Guy is. Before this, you referenced a company you sold. You were in cybersecurity before, but go back a little bit further. Who is Guy and why does he care about hospitality generally?
So, I am Guy, 37 years old almost, father of two. I'm in the tech industry for probably 20 years. I started as a geek playing music and computer science. I was in cybersecurity for a long time, and then I kind of like detached myself and moved into the advertising industries, creating a company that was serving large marketplaces like Amazon and eBay. Very techy, very high performance solutions. The company was acquired. I lived in London for a few years, and my my core is connecting between technologies, people via products. So I think I really like to communicate and to manage. And I think I'm pretty good at that. So I was always around connecting and working out projects and rolling out things and make things efficient while respecting and making sure people work with me. And I ended up understanding that it's all about communication. It's all about how you communicate, how do you emphasize what you want to do, what you want to say, how do you delegate tasks, how do you get things done while staying good hearted and try to motivate the team. And that's a challenge. for everyone. That's basically about me. And I think ZenZap is just like that's the thing that we want to do that I want to do for the next few years. So
Very good. Well, we're going to talk about the product here in a minute. Let's talk a little bit about the problems that you see in this space, that some specific cases as to why those problems matter. Why should a restaurant operator or brand care if people are communicating on WhatsApp or Signal or inside of other solutions and tools? Let's get into that a little bit. Talk about the origin of the problem and some examples for us to understand.
yeah, so that's a great question. So I think we can split it into like three buckets. It's about separation, it's about security and control, and it's about productivity. So with separation, you have like a hidden cost of being an always on culture. So the expectations of most of us in hospitality businesses, it's a 24/7 business. You have those group chats, you're always on. It creates huge burnout. So one of your employees are sitting at home getting notification from something that it doesn't really matter for him now because he's off. So the always on culture is an issue. I think having a place where work messages lives next to personal messages, that really disconnect you from that takes away the ability to switch off as a manager, as an employee, even for 5 minutes during work or after work hours. Mental issues, mental exhaustion, and that's an intensive communication based 24/7 business. So that's an issue. We can talk about examples soon, but so
Well,
that's like a
I
high
can be an
level.
example. Text and Slack alone, but I turn notifications on Slack off. It was just too much. But the reality is, if you put me in a laboratory today, you would see a highly addicted individual. I'm not addicted to anything else in this world except for this silly little thing in my hand. It really does control me. It really I catch myself flipping it over even when I turn it face down. If it's face up, I will see every little ding and it's silent. It's in sleep mode. It's nothing, but I want to look at it every, I don't know, minute, 3 minutes max. Like it, even if I'm trying to watch a movie, watch sports, spend time with family, I still find myself grabbing it. Yeah, it's a problem.
We're all the same. And I think the thing about notifications and being always on connected directly to the last part, which is productivity, because you can't, things are not structured as they should. So you feel like you always need to monitor things that, the water that goes through your rivers, and everyone has its own rivers. And if things were a bit more structured, which I'll talk about it in a second, you would see a less addictive situations with yourself. So, anyways, so the second part is we talked about security and control. So, when employees have no choice but, for example, sharing personal numbers because they're a part of group chats with colleagues, that's open privacy issues with colleagues, sexual harassments between a good-looking lady and or a man with others. So we hear about it all the time, especially with in the hospitality industry where you have frontline. Anyways, that's a big issue. So you're actually actively forcing employees to share personal details just to be part of work communication. I think that's broken. I think the cost of the digital clutterness, having very few group chats because you cannot manage a lot of group chats, and everything flows there without the ability to control, to track, to monitor, to see what's up. That creates a total chaos. Think about splitting everything into small oriented groups driven by topic and the specific people, and allowing them like few simple tools, like for example to-dos within a chat, and monitor and see what's been done, or recurring to-dos that can turn off a lot of anxiety that we feel, that makes us check the phone always, as you mentioned. Micromanaging and keeping everyone aligned, that's super 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 intense when you have 50 people and people can say, I never saw the message. Well, that's fine, it's their personal phone. They have like messages from the wife and from their kindergarten or from whatever it is, and from the supermarket and from Amazon and Walmart and work, and they can actually miss messages. I miss messages all the time. So when you have a focused place, it's a little bit harder and structured to miss important stuff. There's a cost of mistakes, chaos mistakes, that we see, communication chaos, that people are doing things that they lack the context. So they order the wrong things because the chef told them that, but he was actually referring to something else. So there's a real cost for those lost and chaotic communication and how we communicate. And I think the disconnection between the dialogue and the data of operations is a huge thing. Think about it. You have a POS that tells you how much you sold today, and you have shift management software, whatever it is. And then you have all the communications about those stuff happening in a separate place. And the touch points for changing shifts is like enormous. It's like 15, 16 touch points, as customer told us, instead of having one or two, which you can solve very quickly with something that integrates shift management, group chats, and the managers and the structure that you can get. So that's a big thing. And I think the two last parts is security. You have high turnover employees. Everything that is being sent on those group chats are actually saved on employees' phones and leave with them when they leave. So basically, you're giving away all your company's IP, your knowledge, your suppliers, your prices, your all your internals to whoever was in the group chat, and you have no ability and control to disconnect. It's just like running a 50 people's operation with everybody using their own private Gmails. That's why company email was invented. It just wasn't built for instant messaging and for today's world. So that's one. And the last part is onboarding. You have high turnover employees. You want to onboard people quickly, put them in the right areas where you want to communicate and they need to be part of, offboard them. All of those things that can happen in a very smooth way and very natural to employees by actually increasing employee satisfaction and reducing the turnover of employees and reducing the burnout. That's something that actually can be solved with a very good, simple communication tool that is fast and secure. So I think that's around the problems that we see and we hear from the industry.
So why not Slack?
It's funny you say that. So we realized that all those collaboration tools like Slack and Microsoft Teams, which is worth mentioning, are great, and they had their time. They're more desk oriented. They came out to this world through being a great solution for the tech industry. But we find a lot of businesses say that these are too complex, too clunky, too expensive, not mobile first, not fast moving, not fast paced, and not easy to use for a variety of different employees you have. And all they look for is something that is WhatsApp or Signal or iMessage alike, but is built with all the features you need. So it's a matter of being built from the ground up.
Purpose built versus repurposing another tool that was
Exactly.
really built for something else, right?
Exactly. It's like using a rock to put a nail in the wall. But it's better off using a hammer.
Yeah, that's true. I love it. I love it. Yeah, look, we're on Slack at Pepper Lunch, and I see lots of challenges in my experiences. You remember having a communication, you remember a asset or a link or a picture or a graphic being shared, and you know that a particular person was involved in that. But what you don't remember is, was it just me and him, or me, him, and two other people, or me? And there's 7 different channels, the topic based channel, and it's sort of just like more organization makes it less organized, right? The more channels and the more disparate places for conversation then gives you more things to try to remember of where to go for those answers. And was it pinned or bookmarked? And is it, it's so many choices. It's almost like it needs to be more simplified so that it is easier to find, easier to recall, easier to engage without sort of endless expansion of a tool or a communication environment where then it becomes more cumbersome. I find myself asking on there all the time, hey, can you resend that? Can you resend that link? Or where's that pinned? Or where's that saved? Because it's everybody's idea of where something should be, or even if you write SOPs and you sort of try to outline it, and then the other side, you said mass communication. Don't use the all hands entire group chat to like ask a question to me. Like just pick me and ask me a question. You don't have to ask it in front of the entire company to ask a simple question. So it's so etiquette there, I guess, or learning how to, different people learning how to use a tool is still a challenge.
It's funny because when we started, I was, when you try to create a technology or a product that was going to disrupt an industry, the team communication industry is not new, obviously. but we are disrupting it and disruption means that you're bringing an easier, more accessible, more simple tool. And by that, you can reach a much larger audience. So think about Blockbuster and Netflix. It was so complex to rent a video and expensive and not reachable for all. And then Netflix was like, I don't know, $3, $4 a month, just how much as you want. And so when you simplify things, and I think that the comparison between Slack and ZenZap, if you wish, or if you want to compare, it's like it's an aerospace versus a bicycle. Well, there are some people that needs those complex tools, and the tech industry is really heavy leaning on Slack as someone who is from that industry. But most of the businesses out there, they need a bicycle, and that's something that's just not out there. It's not, it does not exist.
Yeah, I think back to the idea that we're taking either tools made for other things and trying to adapt them or find our way to use them, or we're just trying to take a generic tool that really had no purpose built, and that's not exactly Slack, but other things. You see Salesforce being used for applications it was not originally intended, but that's it kind of solved for. So, just the incorrect usage or adoption of tools that don't actually make sense for the problem you're trying to solve or the environment you're trying to manage in. So let's get into ZenZap. Talk a little bit about why, I think we understand why you created it, but what was the idea? How has it evolved? Tell us what it is. Let's get into this product that you've created.
So, there's a jack of all trades, but a master of none. Is so we believe that today you need to do something that is you want to be very good at something, and you want to be unique for something, and not being all in one platform. Because if you're all in one, you're not good, and you basically not excel at something. So we want to be, all right, and I think we are already the best simple mobile first work chat for regular businesses. We didn't build ZenZap for the tech companies. We built it for real businesses, for operators, for floor managers, for people that are really holding together themselves and their teams from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. So we believe this, the next innovation, the next wave of innovation, which is about AI, needs to come with a better infrastructure. And when you say AI, you obviously say Chat GPT or Perplexity or whatever it is. They all basically ends up of being brains connected to a chat. And we will gonna be the infrastructure that connects everyone and teams and people and individuals between those massive, massive backend services to the day to day. So you can solve the chaos easily, but you need to come with a very simple solution that on one hand is a Zen solution that brings the calm, order, work life or work separation and the balance where you have control as a team member or as a manager, control. But on the other, it brings the zap, delivers speed, simplicity, instant clarity, efficiency. By the way, that's where we come up with the name. And so that's ZenZap. It's being, out there for teams as a place to communicate and get things done easily, but being connected to everything you use as a business. So if you are using Toast or 7Shift, you don't need to replace those with an all-in-one tool just to get instant communication in place for a team. No, you should stick with what you love and what you want, and you can just use ZenZap and communicate and connect it with whatever you use. For a project manager tool and you're using, I don't know, Monday or whatever it is, you connect it, but it's a ground floor for all of your team to communicate naturally as expected in a workplace.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that when you talk about AI in the communication or information sharing space is if you ever played the telephone game, like knowledge and experience is passed down verbally or potentially in writing if anybody reads anymore. But, who's sitting down and reading manuals and handbooks and SOPs? You're lucky if you get a checklist looked at and checked off, and usually they're rushing through that and pretending as well. I kind of, when you were talking about AI, and it just makes me think of like a single source of truth, a place to go where at least the collective knowledge can be gathered, sorted, and then re-delivered in micro bytes when asked. The on-demand knowledge with accuracy, with some context, with some history. That to me is very interesting and very attractive because how one manager or one shift lead or one employee expresses and transfers knowledge to another, over time it degrades accuracy, degrades detail, it gets bias built into it. So having an environment where, the expert, so to speak, or if I'm the boss, the boss's final decree of how that is to be addressed can consistently be communicated and accessed, or the individual themselves can be accessed, I think is very interesting. Give us some examples of, ZenZap in the wild and some stories about how it's transformed communication and some productivity or results.
So the hospitality industry, we see mainly hotels, restaurants, and franchise businesses. Multi-location restaurants are using the tool. So think about you as a manager delivering a message. I don't know, even saying happy holidays. It's as simple as how can you do it? How can you deliver a message to one location throughout the location? How can you manage a conversation with location managers, how they can manage a conversation about whatever it is with their sub teams. So we see a lot of restaurants. We have this barbecue chain, which I really remember that they tried to use Slack and then they reverted back to WhatsApp because it was built for, it was not built for them, but that's the easiest way to communicate. And then a year later, they came across ZenZap, and now all of their employees, I think there's like 55 or 60 employees are on ZenZap. They claim to have like much less, and it's funny, less messages, less notifications, but more to the point. So they get things done from being noticed for employees that change shifts, and now integrating with Toast. I just give you an example, daily tips and a lot of just simple workflows. Every business has its own main 1, 2, 3 workflows. That's how this business works. Are being handled much easier today with ZenZap. We're just separating two group chats around specific topics with specific people, integrating the tools, getting recurring to-dos. So opening a location, you can see that the guy who opened the location just checked the market, all the things he needed to do, and that's saved, recorded in the chats. So you can easily claim if he's done it or not. So things is just like simple operations you can just handle super quickly and super easily. And obviously, as I told you, the thing about being the data not saved into employees' phones, but still giving them a tool. And I think that's the challenge for for business owners. Bringing a tool that people will actually use, that's the challenge. And I think that's where ZenZap wins, because we hear that, we see the numbers. We see a company growing from 3 people naturally to 55 in like 2 days, and from that point on it's just like that's what they use for communications. So I think the best compliment we can get is WhatsApp is a thing for the past for us. I think that's the biggest compliment we got, or iMessage in some cases. But we see a lot of businesses just migrated their communications, and then I think the outcomes are, as you mentioned, a place where you have all the knowledge being collected and all the collective knowledge is being stored. And obviously features that we're building over time to let them use this knowledge and get things quickly and much better from the knowledge that they accumulate in the platform. So we just hear people saying, yeah, it is just, the best compliment is just, it's just like WhatsApp but for work. That's a compliment, and I think that's where that's the win.
But solving for security, solving for visibility, solving for accurate data transfer and access to business things that are business things.
As a business owners, one of the biggest, I think, aha moments that I got is I heard one of the business owners, we are trying to have a consistent conversations with what we call customer advisory boards. We're building those customer advisory boards where we ask great customers to help us build better products for them. So I listen to those conversations and sometimes I participate. And one of those business owners told me that now he feels like he can actually scale and standardize his franchise business. He felt like he couldn't scale because he couldn't handle scaling and the communication that comes with scaling. And he told me like, now I feel like I can actually double my business. I could, but I didn't want to. And now I feel like I'm capable of doing so. So I think that's, those consistency and helping you manage things and control and feel like you're in control, and employees embracing a tool that actually takes their work conversation out into a dedicated work app, that's just enormous for both sides. So
Good stuff. Well, Guy, where can people find out more about ZenZap?
search on Google ZenZap.
ZenZap, right?
Yes, yeah. I think that we have a lot. We are putting a lot of efforts in creating content on YouTube and Instagram. Something that we think is just so important for people, not to read stuff, but just to consume content, quickly. So that's a great place. If you're a business owner and you want to know how ZenZap helps your business scale, solve issues, we have a large documentation that you can check out, real stories. We have a lot of customers creating content and expressing how ZenZap changed their life. So you can see videos and what we call a day in the life. So we send a team that films your business and you tell us about your business. And that's also a kind of like a great piece of content for your business. But they share about how they were operating before, how it changed their life. So I believe in video and content. So I think we're doing a great job. And obviously we're trying to get better and better in that. But YouTube, ZenZap, you have a lot of content. It's easy to consume. It's easy to understand. It's simple.
Great stuff. It's been a great chat. Thanks for bringing an important topic to the table, talking about all these aspects of employee communication and security and accountability and visibility. Really enjoyed having you on the show and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Pineapple Perspective. If you loved today's episode, leave a review and a 5-star rating. I look forward to welcoming you back next time.